Anna and Elsa are back with sleek new dresses, sleek new eyebrows, and a sleek new hairdo. New songs and a new adventure where they explore the mysteries of their parents' past.
Welcome to the Walt Vault with
Michelle,
Andre,
Luis,
and me, Emily. We're a family-friendly podcast where we pick a new Disney movie each week. We watch it, share our thoughts, and then relate it to pop culture, fandoms, and anything else that pops into our heads. Enjoy!
Hello and welcome to the Walt Vault, episode 93.
100. Almost to 100.
We're almost at 100.
that's
true.
coming up.
We're getting close, and we're ramping it up as we go week to week here during the March 2020 quarantine.
March
Madness, y'all.
for the year of 2020.
Well, right now it's March of 2020.
Yeah,
if you're
that's
listening in the far, far future where America's been decimated and
What, somebody's listening like 40 years from
you
now
guys
to
found
our
this,
podcast?
You guys
That's
found this
dope.
podcast on a flash drive that was buried underneath the ground and stuff like that.
Good Lord.
And a
Welcome
time with
to-
auto capture currency.
That's what they were looking at in the Holes movie. They were digging for that.
Exactly. Yeah, but that was last week. This week, we are talking about the 2019 Disney animated film Frozen 2.
AKA the better Frozen.
Oh.
Whoa, Luis put a thumbs down.
I think I also disagree with that statement.
Oh.
Um,
We're gonna fight one time.
we don't have to fight.
We're gonna argue vocally.
Okay, let's do it.
How else
Frozen.
would you argue?
You can argue with your fist.
That's the fight, not an argument.
It's a fight. Some people call it. I was in a fight, like you were in an argument.
It's aggressive negotiations, as the Jedi say.
Okay, moving
That's
on.
brainwashing, you mean, Andre?
Okay, well, then I want to start with Luis on this one because Luis didn't want to do the first Frozen movie because he put that off for a long time. So, Luis, what is your first impression of Frozen 2?
It was actually pretty cool. It was more action-packed than I had imagined, and I appreciated that. So it was...
I like that. Luis gave a thumbs up for once in a movie that involves a frozen snowman.
And the sound effect.
Wait on, we'll get to that.
Oh.
This is a family.
That calamity.
This is a family.
Okay. But he still gave it a thumbs up. The first one, he definitely did not.
We have to stay in the center of the
All right.
But I got a
Emily.
roly-poly donut shop.
Oh, and just so our listeners know, Luis and Emily saw it for the first time at home on TV. And Andre and I saw it in the theater, but since then I have now watched it a total of 3 times this week. That's an issue. That's how good it is. I watched it 3 times this week. Emily, first impression.
It was good.
Hmm.
It's good.
Hmm.
I like
very-
it. Well, I mean, my impressions have a lot to do with what we're going to talk about, so I feel like it's going to come out. It's a good movie, I think. The music, not as strong, but the strongest song is very strong. So, did I laugh a lot? Yes. I love Samantha.
Samantha.
Oh, and Andre had fallen asleep that part of the movie, so when we rewatched it this time, he was like, I get it. I was like, yeah, you know who Samantha is now?
I didn't say I get it.
You did.
It's a good movie.
I'll
It's a
go
good
next.
movie. She said it's a good movie. All right, Andre, first impression.
Yes. So when we saw this in theater, I was sleepy and tired, and I may or may not have missed 15 to 25 minutes of the movie interspersed.
Probably 30.
Interspersed throughout it. I was droozing. I was drifting. I was doing a lot of that.
Cruising is not a word.
I was droozing and drifting. Droozing. So that's when you're drowsy. It's the verb. Droozing. So
Droozing and drowsy at the same time.
so
You're
my
welcome.
my very first impression upon my first watch was I don't remember a lot of that because plots didn't interconnect and stuff like that. Upon this viewing, it made a lot more sense to me. But that being said, I definitely like Frozen 1 better. this movie is quite good, but in the Frozen franchise, I think it's a dip.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll talk about that because I kind of agree, but we'll talk about it.
Okay, my first impression of this movie is, once again, I love it. I really liked the first Frozen movie too. I loved that movie. It just got overplayed, right? So then you were like, please stop it. But is Frozen 2 to me personally just as amazing? Absolutely. I like Frozen 2, and if you told me right now, like if you asked me, do you want to watch Frozen or do you want to watch Frozen 2? I would say I want to watch Frozen 2. So that's why I think I like it more. But I don't know if that's necessarily just because it's new and I haven't seen it as much, you know? Because you made the comment that you thought the music wasn't as good in this movie, and I think the music is better in this movie.
I said it wasn't as strong. That's a different
Yes,
word.
that's true. Okay. But I think
Let's get into it.
It's hard because there's just one song in particular that you already know I'm talking about because I made this comment the other day that Show Yourself should have been nominated versus Into the Unknown because that song is a million bazillion times better to me.
So here's how this is my thought process on the music since we're already there.
Okay, music.
Frozen 1, Frozen proper, is Disney music with Disney music plus a song written for Idina Menzel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because if you look at who they casted Idina Menzel because of her singing, not because of her acting. Because as a voice actress, she hadn't done much. She is a Broadway star. So they did Disney music with this like showstopper Broadway number. Okay? Yeah. Then they come out with Frozen 2 and they do Broadway number after Broadway number when they have fans expecting Disney music. And I think that's where, in general, the populace is kind of like weirded out by the music here because it's 100% plot driven, which is Broadway-esque, right? It's not just like, do you want to build a snowman? Life is happy. It's a Disney song, right? Yeah. It's absolutely, you have to listen to the words to get where the story's going. Maybe not so much with the 80s ballad, but
that's also fully Broadway.
It's a totally different shift in the mindset of how the music is used in the movie. And so to me, I think they set up the audience in one way and then they tried to do a different thing. And so that's kind of why I agree with Andre when he says in the Frozen franchise, it diverts a little weirdly. But on its own, I love it. I mean, I'm a musical babe. I love musicals. But it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me the way the two interact with each other. They don't seem like a pair.
I'm okay with it. Like, I'm 110% okay with it. As Andre and I were watching it upon this viewing, like, literally anytime a song would come on, or just the way that Elsa moves her body, she literally looks like she's acting in a Broadway show. Like, she'll do, like, a hair flip and then, like, do this thing. And I'm like, is she on Broadway right now? Because she's acting like it. You know what I mean? And so every single song, I was like, even, like, the opening number, like, Some Things Never Change, I was like, this is, like, a classic Broadway opening song where they're just, like, setting the scene. And then Anna's song, which is my least favorite song out of all of them. I could do without it. But I told Andre that's a very Broadway song too. Like everything terrible happened, and now I'm gonna sing this.
Beginning of
yes, thank you. It's literally exactly what it is, where you're crying at that part of the show, and then like the Broadway goes back up again. You know what I mean? And so yes, I agree with you that every song is very Broadway-esque, and that is definitely how it was written. And if we're thinking 3 out of the 4 main characters, they're Broadway stars. You know what I mean? So, therefore, that
it doesn't bother me, but what's the word? To make it all cohesive, it doesn't create a perfect whole for me personally when you put it all together. For this movie, I like it, but then if you put it into that Broadway perspective, the 80s ballad doesn't fit. You know? So it's
I don't care though.
Fantastic.
I don't care.
I mean,
because
it's
we love
supposed to
that
be
song.
Rhapsody animated, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, I think I agree with both of you, actually.
It's hard. That's what I'm saying.
I,
It's like,
I hadn't really thought of it in those terms of Disney music versus Broadway music before, but that makes a lot of sense. Like, I wrote several times in my notes that there are just a bunch of music videos going on in this movie, and
yeah, there is.
I very much like them to a certain extent, but the way that they flowed with the movie versus the first one, I think the first one they flowed a little bit better, and I guess that's a pretty subjective term to use, but the movie felt a little bit more cohesive going through rather than stopping for some of these big Broadway numbers.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of them are really, really good, but some of them are pretty kind of like Broadway cheesy in a way. Like, you're right, that Anna
but
song
it's so good.
is no good.
I don't. That's the one song that I
don't really like.
Don't like.
I don't like the Olaf song either.
It's okay.
Olaf, I don't like.
Hold on, which one's the Olaf? Oh, the When I'm Older one?
Things
Yeah,
will-
when I'm older.
This will all make sense when I am older.
In comparison to
In Summer. Yeah,
that
In
song is
Summer
a
is way
banger.
better.
Okay, In Summer is
It's a
awesome.
banger.
And okay, maybe Luis is
Luis,
really
I
unhappy.
have a question. Hang on. When you're thumbs downing, are you disagreeing with me or you're saying that the song is bad?
He's saying boo Olaf.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just thumbing everything that involves Olaf down.
Okay.
You didn't think he was a little bit better in this movie, like less annoying?
No? And let me tell you what. He is unnecessary for this movie. His whole journey of things changing and all this, and it really, to me, was so disconnected with the story. Because there was nothing that those two characters, in my mind, were struggling with in terms of change. No one was struggling with change except him. And
It makes so much sense.
No, he was pointless to that story.
Can I interject a thought?
Yes.
So it's very interesting because now I have a child who enjoys movies and gets it, right? Adeline is old enough to understand stories now. Not that she gets everything, but she likes the movies, right? She liked Frozen 1 much better than Frozen 2. And I think it's because
adult themes.
this one is an older, it has much more complex themes, and the storyline requires much more
way
thought.
more complex.
The plot is
Right?
wild, but
Which
that's
is
why I like
fantastic.
it.
I love it. But I think that Olaf is kind of the bridge between the younger kids. I mean, the original movie, came out in 2013?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one came out in 2019, so that's like a
6-year difference. Yeah.
Different.
And they
Six-year
even
difference?
they mentioned that in like the first song, like, and you're looking older or whatever they say right to the audience.
Right. So, I mean, I understand that they're saying that the audience is older, which I get. But at the same time, like, for younger kids, I think Olaf is supposed to be that transition of, like, we realize that things are different, but we still have this childlike wonder, even though, like you're saying, the characters are in their 20s now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not having the same issues, but they're also growing up and learning how to be adults, which is, if we have to look at ourselves, we have an issue growing up too.
I don't know what you're talking about.
If
What
you-
issue?
I'm not wearing a Harry Potter
pressed
shirt.
The whole issue of change and just kept being his annoying Olaf self, I wouldn't go as far as to say that he was unnecessary. But just because that was his focal point, change, and to me it diverged with the entire story, he was unnecessary for that reason. But if he was his old silly self and really not making any sense, not really, I don't know, like just being a gesture for gesture's sake, then he would have been necessary, but he would have still been annoying to me. I just find him completely unnecessary for that movie.
Yeah,
I
think
think
I agree.
the reason that he was necessary in this movie is that Anna wouldn't have had anybody with her, especially when Elsa's just like kind of going off doing her own thing. It would have just been Anna, and they wouldn't have been able to do that riff between Anna and Kristoff. Like if she didn't have, because then they would have been like, well, we have to have Kristoff with Anna during this adventure. But because they wanted to do all of that, I think then Olaf was necessary to like go along with her, because they would really have been able to do that otherwise. Because what is Anna just gonna talk to herself? Like,
right. It's an interesting split up of the character.
If they again, I get what you're saying. She needed to have somebody with her, and that's where I'm saying, had he not focused on this whole change thing, would have been okay. But because he did, he's still unnecessary, because it was still Anna doing it by herself.
Yeah.
Because he was still focused on himself and change and all that, and in my opinion, really wasn't helping Anna through this. It was more like Anna having to deal with it and having to pick him up, because he was acting like a sadness.
Because he got snapped.
You know, she was having to drag him. That's where I'm gonna still say he's unnecessary. But if he would have been a gesture, I would agree with you that he was necessary for her.
I can agree with that. And honestly, I like Olaf a lot more in the first movie than this one. And that's just my personal opinion. But we'll talk about who is the most.
Wait. We're not done talking about Olaf.
We're still on Olaf.
Because I completely agree with you, Luis, in that. Well, maybe not. I don't agree with you, but Olaf is much more enjoyable in the first movie than in this one. Olaf got his philosophy degree between the last movie and this one, and he became.
The last 3 years were serious for him.
Yeah, he got so much more annoying because of it. Like he keeps spouting off these little bouts of wisdom that are like direct breaks of the fourth wall. Like, hey, once we go into this enchanted forest, we're all gonna change, and then they get out of the enchanted forest like, I don't know what transformation means anymore, but we all changed, and it's like, okay, I get it. Goodness gracious, can you go not know anything anymore? Yeah,
there really, without getting too far ahead, there really wasn't much change. I mean,
well, I think there is some character growth, like
Elsa,
a fair amount of it, honestly, between Anna, Elsa, and Kristoff. They all have their arcs in this.
Mainly Elsa.
That are farther away than in the first Frozen. But Olaf, who changed from the very beginning of the movie, he was already different, and then by the end he kind of dies and then comes back and he's like, hey, guess what? I'm still smart or whatever. And it's just not as you're right. It's not as powerful as the other characters.
And it's not as novel. It's not like, oh, how sweet. It's kind of like, oh, okay, I know you died, but you're coming back.
Yeah, it's just this little snowman that keeps telling me what's what, and I'm tired of it.
All right. Well, we'll get into.
The role he played was very unnecessary. How's that?
Yeah. All right. I can kind of agree. I think we all agree that we semi-like Olaf better in the first one. Luis doesn't like him at all.
Yes.
But what I want to talk about
I did like Samantha though. That was I did laugh hard.
He had a funny line.
And he also just like riffed that. Like he was in the recording studio and he was like, Samantha, and he didn't know like that was going to be in the movie, which is kind of funny.
Oh,
like that wasn't in the
script. That's probably my favorite part of the whole thing. That was quite hilarious. Good for him.
It is quite hilarious. Louis, it's funny. You know it's funny.
I do like Josh Gad. I just.
I
like Josh Gad.
You don't like him as a.
I don't as Olaf. Yeah.
Okay.
Luis
does not want to build a snowman. Moving on.
Okay. I want to talk about Anna and Elsa because the more I think about Anna, I'll probably say an unpopular opinion that Anna is not. She's not my favorite, and I don't really like her in this movie. What? I didn't really like her in this movie. I think in the first one, I liked her more because she was a ditz. Like, she was this ditzy, and she was learning about the world and doing all these things, and then it had this great arc at the end with, like, her saving Elsa and stuff like this. And I don't know if it's necessarily the song that she sang or if it's just her being like she won't give Elsa any space. And I think that's what's super, super bugging me about her in this movie.
Yeah.
Elsa, you can't do without me. Elsa this, Elsa that. I'm like, do you realize how strong Elsa is? She will mess anybody up. Like, I think she's okay. Give her some space. First of all, Elsa doesn't like people. Like, she kind of wants to be alone. Just let her be. So it's just like, because she kept going back to that in this movie, like Elsa, and going after her, and going after her, and going after her, and even her jumping to conclusions about everything that Kristoff said was bugging me. Where I'm like,
right,
Anna,
it's supposed to, because it's not about Elsa. When you look at it from a bigger standpoint, it's not about Elsa, it's about her. And she's projecting these things because of her own insecurities. And that's why
which I know.
It's supposed to be poignant. It's
I know,
right.
but
It's
also
supposed
stop
to be
it.
a moment where she's saying, like, I can't move on without you, and no matter what happens, I'm gonna be left behind. It's because she's worried that she doesn't matter without Elsa.
I know.
That she's like lost a part of herself, but she's also lost everything if Elsa's gone. And
she's lost in the woods.
Literally.
Lost in the woods.
But I think that they're trying to use these really adult themes in a very child-driven story. And then they're also trying to do actual discovery with self-discovery, with secret deception, with all. I think there's just a lot going on. And so it's, as much as I like the complexity of the story, I think that they reached for this very.
They did, because they had a lot of time.
Emotional thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why when we're hoping for Anna to be this like joyful, happy character, but we still want some extra we want more from her, but we got almost too much from her.
Yeah. Like, she had the naivete still, definitely. But last time the naivete wasn't annoying me so much, and in this movie I was like, please stop.
Well, it was
like,
fun.
Haven't you grown up a little bit?
It was very funny in the first movie. And then I think they wanted to like
naivete.
That's a word.
Naivety. She's naive. That's a word.
What?
That's a word.
That's a word. Yeah.
Look it up. Google it.
In the first movie, I think yeah, you're right. They used that naivete to to kind of like throw in some humor and stuff for Anna, which is what she's really good at. Like Kristen Bell plays her super hilarious. And in this one, I think the whole overall theme for the writers was like bigger, better, more mature, right? So the characters all have to grow. Everybody has to grow. Things have to be darker. It's got to be scarier. It's got to be bigger action scenes. It's all got to be bigger and grander. And I think they kind of threw humor a little bit under the bus, kind of, for this sequel.
Yeah.
And not as much of it shines through as it did in the first one, where I feel like I was laughing the whole time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we did get that really funny scene where Olaf is acting out the whole first
Frozen
movie.
1, yeah. And it's
the parents are dead.
That's like the most hilarious thing in this movie.
Literally, one of the best scenes. It's so freaking funny.
Yeah, so I think
he literally was so, excuse my language, he was so mad the whole time because he was like, Olaf, oh God, so much Olaf. But literally he was trying not to laugh because it was funny. Good.
And it even General Matthias's like reactions to it, like, oh my God.
No.
Oh no. Yeah,
Good actor.
so good.
It's very funny.
Speaking of favorite character right there, favorite new character is General Matthias. He is so cute and so loyal and just a fabulous person, you can tell, because he's even like over here flirting with like the village leader. The village leader. What are they called? Nordic people?
Northuldra.
Northuldra.
It sounds like Hail Hydra. Okay, I'm having hard times with.
Did they have to pull the most confusing names?
Atta Holland.
Atta Holland.
Whatever
I know how to spell it now because I watched it with subtitles.
Subtitles is really the way to go.
Also, I thought that Grandpappy was Grandpappy in the first movie with a P. Grandpappy. And apparently his name is Pabby. So, yeah.
Pabby?
With the B, because he's like a pebble.
Oh, like Patrol Rocks. Mm.
I get it.
Sure.
So here's the deal. I will say that, and I remember saying this in our Frozen 1 episode. I would not with a rock, okay? Hated the pebbles.
They weren't really in it. You were happy about that?
No. but I hated it because it made no sense to me. In a
Yeah.
world, I understand she has ice magic, right? Okay, whatever. But then why are there troll things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get it. But now it's like, and I'm very happy with that.
What you're saying is exactly why I love this movie more. Because it made things in the first movie make more sense. Why is there a magical ice queen? Like, why? Well, now we know why, because she's a freaking spirit that's the bridge between humanity and magic. Like, come on, that's crazy. She's literally, and as I'm watching this movie, all I can think in my head is that, holy crap, Elsa is like the most strong Avenger. Like, she is crazy. She's more stronger than Frozone and Iceman.
She's extremely powerful for sure, and that shines through a lot in this movie. But yeah,
magic makes sense now in this universe.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
appreciate it.
I think
I like
You don't think so?
Charizard could take her.
Wait, what?
I still think Charizard could take her.
Oh.
Fire beats ice, elemental.
I mean, she put the other thing
Ozone
out.
can take her too.
She put the fire spirit out, which, by the way, is named Bruni, and they don't even say that in the movie. How am I supposed to know that lizard's name is Bruni?
Yeah, I didn't catch that either. He's hella cute.
You liked him?
He's very
He was awesome. I liked him a
he's
lot.
adorable.
I like the water spirit the best. So let's talk about this magical
Oh,
layout.
Hold on,
we got
I knew
going
you were
on.
gonna say something about something.
Yeah,
Oh.
so I like the new backstory that they throw in for the history of the magic in this realm. It does open up a lot of doors and explain a lot of things as to why Elsa's so powerful and so adaptive and stuff like that. However, this movie didn't make me like the trolls any more than the last one did. I didn't like the trolls last time, and
Oh.
I
I
didn't
don't
say
like
I
them.
liked them more. I just said that makes more sense.
Yeah.
They make a little bit more sense, but even
I-
then, like I get the
they're, like,
gecko, I
broken
get the water
off.
horse.
It's
Mhm.
like they're broken off from those big dudes, and like the farther they get away from the forest, the smaller they
The
get.
smaller
but
they
they're
get.
Not any less annoying.
That makes sense, but yeah, they're still
Yeah.
they're just exposition machines. They're like, oh, let me tell you the whole history of all of the magic in the land. It's like, all right, little troll dudes, get out of here.
Yeah.
He just wants to be a narrator, okay?
Yeah. Now, if they were the narrator, if they narrated from the beginning and then they threw themselves in, that'd
I
be
don't need a
interesting.
narrator. I don't
Okay,
need
first
a
off,
narrator.
it's not my fault that I've always said the word narrator wrong. Okay? He's over here making fun of me. That's the one word in English language that I say wrong, and I can never get right.
Well,
when
how are
I'm
you supposed
spelling.
to say it?
Narrator.
Yeah,
But I
it's a
say-
narrator.
I say narrator. I have an extra.
Oh.
You throw extra syllable in there, it just helps you say it, you
No
know.
wonder when I'm typing out essays in like the 7th grade, it never
Narrator.
always tells me it's wrong.
It's a narrator.
It's a narrator.
A narrator.
It's like Mississippi. You say Mississippi and narrator.
Actually, Mississippi actually has the extra one, okay?
Mississippi
It does have the
It's
extra.
Mississippi.
narrator.
Mississippi.
They're opposites.
Okay. So
I'm Mississippi, thank
I
you.
think I have. No, it might not necessarily be a battle, but well, okay, it's a battle. Go.
Dun 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 dun. Cold battle.
Okay, so minus Elsa being the 5th spirit, we have 4 spirits: fire, water, earth, and wind. If you could have one spirit be with you at all times to your benefit, and you would be able to like wield it and use it, which one would you pick? So we have Gale, and she's the wind, and I don't know if I see any benefit to that.
Well, okay, so
What did I do?
obviously when you said earth, fire, water, and air, my brain jumped to Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Yeah.
and I
100%. I'm over here like it's gonna be water because I want
Hello.
a blood bend.
and I know exactly which one of those I would
Well,
choose.
When she did do the ice thing underwater, she like went like this, and like a big ice snowflake came out, and she used it like at the horse. I
Yeah.
was like, this is some Avatar thing.
Oh,
Shit.
That was some Aquaman stuff happening.
Yeah.
She's like,
I was like, okay, Elsa.
it was very cool.
Juge this.
Juge it.
Narrator.
Juge it. See, now our listeners can see all my body language. They're loving it.
Juged.
Juged it.
Juge.
And this is when Emily usually goes, I wish you could see Michelle right now.
So in Avatar: The Last Airbender, if you haven't seen it, it's you wield that power. You can control air, you can control water or earth or fire.
Well,
or
you
whatever.
wouldn't control it.
Right.
It would be
So
with
what
you,
I'm saying
and you can
is
kinda
that
use
for
it.
this scenario where I have to have a creature with me or the wind, it's a different choice. I can either ride on water, which sounds uncomfortable and limited. It's like I could just get a boat. I mean, it's basically the same thing. A motorboat and that horse are exactly the same.
But here's the deal, though, because the Earth one is only shown to be manifested through these rock things that move.
But the
Right.
Earth moves because they said
But she didn't do that. That was just the Earth doing its own thing.
No, and she said in the intro to when they were talking about the forest, like when her dad was saying the nighttime story, he said like that the Notholdra people could wield the spirits to their benefit. So you saw them like making a rock bridge, like being able to just wield the power.
You're right.
So
That's
yes,
true.
that thing would be with you, but you would be able to wield that.
Gale
power.
was pretty sick.
Yeah, Gale.
No, I mean look at the beginning.
She was like flying with Gale.
When they moved all the people out of the town, that was Earth.
Yeah, but she didn't do that.
The spirits did it of their own free will. What we're seeing is just their manifestations, their projections, which is Gale, Bruni, the horse, I don't think that has a name, and then the Earth Giants.
Right.
All right, Emily picks Gale, I think, because she wants to fly.
Yeah.
I picked the Earth Giants. Knock me out of this big old Earth thing.
Oh.
Come at me.
Did you notice that the Earth Giants looked like Marshmallow from the first movie?
Right. Yeah, you had said that. They kind of have a similar design, which might.
They were also bigger versions of Pabby.
Pabby. Grand Pabby.
Okay, so you said Earth Giant?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a Gale, Earth Giant.
Well, I say water. Sorry about it.
Okay, that's perfect because I'm definitely picking little Fire Gecko. Okay.
Each one.
You know why? Because he can hang out in my pocket or whatever.
And warm your hands.
Yes. He can warm me up. And then also, anybody tries to start talking mess to me, I'm like, excuse you, your whole body's on pink fire. Bye-bye. I'm shooting the little gecko.
That fire was purple.
I'm shooting the gecko like a tiny little pistol. I'm like, pew, 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 fire, pew, pew, pew.
Oh. First of all, the fire was
my
purple.
enemies are getting rolled over by rock. Ends are getting rolled over all the way across the, land, while Michelle's enemies could just go 20 feet inland and they'll be absolutely safe.
I ain't got no land enemies.
I mean, good, because you're not going up there.
The human world is a myth.
Truth. The human world.
It's true. Sebastian knows. Anyways, okay, end of the battle.
So that was a good battle. Dun 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 dun. The spirit battle. Avatar battle. All right.
But in all seriousness, I'd rather just have Elsa with me, probably.
Oh, well, yeah. Elsa.
Okay.
Elsa's the GOAT. She
What? What's a goat?
The GOAT, the greatest of all time.
Oh, I did not know what that stood for.
Yeah, she's extremely powerful. Like there are moments in this where she's creating things. Like at one point she's in like a room and she's created all the frost memories or whatever, and they're like walking around all independent of one another, and it's like, what in the world?
Yeah, but that was Atta Holland magic. That's because memories, and Atta Holland has all the memories.
There we go.
I remember very specifically Andre and I having this conversation. It could have been on air, could have not. Who knows? But we've had a conversation about how powerful she really is in comparison to other, like, witches, warlocks, and things, and how it takes her very little power to do some of these things. And when I was watching this, I was thinking of that conversation in the scene that you got in all of the trailers where she's, like, doing, like, her ice against the ocean, and she's, like, running and doing it. But they don't show the coolest part where she's literally, like, ice water battling, right? And she's getting, like, attacked by this horse. Like, holy moly. And I thought to myself, this is the kind of magic that is, like that is harnessing magic. Like, out of, like, all kinds of sorcery, that is some big stuff. She doesn't have to use a wand. She doesn't have to use some, like, type of magical item. That's just her just doing whatever pops in her head.
And at this point, because her powers are so strong, like I think she says that in the first song that she sings. She's like, I can feel my powers growing stronger every day. Like, what the heck am I doing in this human world, basically, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm like, by the time
human world, it's a mess.
Yeah, but by the time she's at Atahalin and she figures out that she's the fifth spirit, her clothes change, right? Which is, of course, an Elsa thing. So her clothes change, but then she's like going like this, like, and she's doing this crazy thing, and I'm literally like, this girl is crazy. Like, she is insanely powerful.
Yeah.
Can you hold that baby over here?
Hi, baby.
We've had a baby right off screen the entire time.
Hi, baby. And we've had a dog right here. You know,
Yeah.
but-
He might not be in the cell right now.
Can we have a second for the best part of this whole movie, though?
Yes.
Yeah? Which part?
The wardrobe.
Yeah.
The animated wardrobe is legit. Every single time Anna or Elsa comes on screen, I'm like, what is this dress? It's so gorgeous.
110%. And even like one of the best parts is when Elsa's doing the thing where she's going into the water and doing the ices, and she takes off the top part of her shawl. And I told Andre, I was like, dude, that dress blends into her skin. Like, what the heck is happening? Like, yeah, the wardrobe in this, and even just the color scheme that they use for the wardrobe and the forest in general, is absolutely beautiful. And animation one time, again, absolutely beautiful, because that ocean looked real.
The animation is completely off the charts gorgeous the entire time. Like, at one point, I think Kristoff is either singing or he's talking to Anna, one of those two, and he's like flashing back to the first movie where he's like meeting her and hanging out with her and stuff like that.
That's in Lost in the Woods.
Right, and you're watching that footage, and then it cuts back to Frozen 2, and it's like, wow! The hair, the clothes, the movement, the mouths.
The vibrancy of everything. It's absolutely stunning.
Everything looks like 5 times better than the first movie, which only came out 6 years ago, which is kind of nuts.
And we thought that movie looked absolutely amazing then. That's just an attestation to Disney animation in general. Like, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. Yeah, but 110% Elsa's. I love Elsa's whole wardrobe in this movie, and Anna's too, with the purple going on.
The entirety of the wardrobe, the hair, it's like, no wonder everyone wants to bring back like braids and things.
Well, and I like Elsa's hair when it's down. Like, when it's down on Holland, and from now on I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks so good.
Oh yeah, they do that on purpose. Like, they're like, we're gonna make her hotter with every transformation humanly possible. Okay, she's gonna pull it down, and then she's gonna whip it out. And
she had her hair in a ponytail.
Can you stop saying that?
She had her hair in a ponytail, because that's totally things girls do, right? When they need to, like, she's like going to work, right? She's ready to go in the ocean. She's like, okay,
show yourself.
Putting her hair up. Hi, baby.
Yeah, Frozen 3, she's going to go Super Saiyan, and her hair's going to be spiking straight up. It's going to be awesome.
She's going to have rogue hair. Rogue hair, but opposite. She's going to have just, like, one black streak.
Oh, no, that's how you know it's crazy.
I don't know. She is crazy. So I 110% agree with you that the wardrobe's insane. Another thing that I need to give a moment of our time to is the fact that we actually get to hear so much more of Jonathan Groff in this movie as Kristoff, which is just makes me really happy, because all we got of his voice in the first movie was reindeers are better than people, and that's it. And I think he has a really amazing voice, and we got him in the first opening song, and he got his whole own song, which is probably, yes, maybe it doesn't fit necessarily in the movie, but I remember Andre waking up when this came on in the movie theater, like, what? What is happening?
Lost in the Woods is definitely my favorite song from this movie.
Oh, really? In general?
It's so much fun to watch. I haven't listened.
Giggle worthy. Every new pain is hilarious.
Yes.
Exactly. I haven't listened to it like on its own, like on the soundtrack or whatever.
I listened to the soundtrack.
But I mean, it sounds like a genuinely good 80s pop ballad or whatever. So I assume it's good on its own. But watching it with this, once again, this music video that they made for this sequence
good.
is so hilarious and so funny. I wonder what kids think about this song, because it's so reminiscent of 90s and 80s music videos that they have no reference to or anything like that.
I think maybe they're just like, oh, the reindeer is singing.
But him singing into a pine cone is still pretty funny, you know.
Well, and you got to do the hair before he's like,
When he's like, I love in the wood. It's so
so good.
funny.
Luis, how did you feel when you first saw the scene? This song?
It was funny. I wasn't paying attention to the song. I was just looking at like the
Like the physicality.
yeah. I was like, that's Bohemian Rhapsody. That was Whitney Houston's "And I Will Always Love You" song.
Right.
You know, like
All over
that's the
the
whole
place.
music video, if you ask me.
Every
but I
time
didn't
he
pay
goes,
attention to the lyrics. I'm not like
Yeah.
you guys, so.
every time he goes to Anna and she like fades away. Like, okay, okay.
I just
I like
like
when
it when
he's
he's singing and then his face pops up profile.
I was just about to say that.
So good.
I honestly like the confused looks on all the reindeer in the background. Like he's singing and they're like, oh, what is he singing about? Like,
Well, they're confused at first, and then their blue faces are singing in the background a little bit later.
you are mine. I know. See, that's why this would be fun to sing in a car if it was like all four of us, because Andre would be singing like the main part, and me and Emily would be in the background, like you are mine, yeah. Just like
And
that.
that'd be the reindeers in the back being like, what is going on?
That's accurate. That's accurate.
Hello?
But Luis, what is your favorite song of this movie?
Don't have them.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Like if
like
you-
I said, I didn't pay attention to the music.
yeah, why'd you ask Luis that
But
question?
did you not like any of them?
Show yourself.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Eh.
Okay, well,
I
y'all
didn't care about
established
it
ours.
enough to formulate an opinion.
I got-
I was more story driven.
Here's the deal. I got the tingles. Okay. I got the Broadway tingles on Show Yourself.
Yeah, I got the
I mean, it was
Te-
Defying Gravity. I mean, not
try
my
Right.
favorite
to
song,
try
but that's
to
the
find.
act. Huh?
I didn't hear that.
What did Luis say?
Nothing.
Okay, moving on.
Something about tingles. Anyway.
So Elsa has these two
He
big
said I was
songs.
yelling.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, well, Michelle's been
I
yelling
had
this entire
yeah.
time. I haven't said anything.
What else is new?
This whole left ear doesn't work anymore. So yeah, Elsa has these two big songs in this movie.
I fixed his
I
ear.
didn't hear that. Elsa has these two big songs in this movie, right? She has "Show Yourself" and then "Into the Unknown."
Yeah, because they had to give her 2 songs this time.
Yeah.
You know, because they had to keep Adina on that.
Right. And "Show Yourself" is the big Broadway song, whereas "Into the Unknown" is the wait. Did I flip these
Yes.
around? It's the Disney song. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I like "Into the Unknown" a lot more than "Show Yourself."
I disagree.
And I think that just breaks down to that I enjoy Disney music more than Broadway music. Like Show Yourself is an awesome song, but "Into the Unknown" is like a lot more fun for me and a lot more
for sure,
a lot more
for sure.
singable to me and a lot more focused even. Like it doesn't dive so deep into like the plot of the movie. Or like my powers are growing weaker or growing stronger, and this voice is calling out
Yeah.
to me and stuff like that. I
Okay.
think it's just a better song in general
Yeah.
than a movie song.
Okay,
It's
I agree
definitely
with that.
more like it has more fun. It has intrigue. It's exciting. Whereas Show Yourself is like the more powerful. It's the
Right.
powerhouse song, you know.
Yes, exactly.
Which
So I
is
totally
what I
agree
love.
with you on that note. It's like if you're gonna just like listen to the music, that one might be more fun to listen to than just the other one where it's like, yeah, everyone needs to shut up because the song is on.
Well, and that's how I feel. I put on Show Yourself in the car, and I'm like, nobody look. I've never felt so different. La, 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 la. You know, it's just one of those songs, like you said, like Defying Gravity, where you're like, hold up, let me put this on in the car and get down one time. But that's because you and I, yeah, what you said, Broadway tingles, you know what I mean? So that's why this one had a more powerful emotional impact. But I will say there's certain melodies or things where when you hear them for the first time, you want to listen to it over and over and over and over again. And that to me is the voice calling her into the unknown song. Where the first time I heard it, I was like, what is this magic? Like, I need to keep listening to it, right? And so that's why I kept listening to that song at first, because it's something that sounded so novel and so eerie and like mysterious, which now I'm like, no wonder Elsa was like, what is that voice? And I want to go to it because it sounds really cool. Which we watched a video about who that voice actually is, and it's a pop star from Norway, and her name is Aurora.
Yeah.
And they filmed all those vocals in a church so that it would echo and reverberate like that.
Watch, I'll do it right now.
Okay, Brandon Urie.
Now I'm just going to cut in her voice so that it sounds like I did that.
Trying to be Brandon Urie.
I'm definitely not good at editing that much. What else do we have to talk about here? Yeah, so
Should we talk about the fact that Anna's queen? How did we feel about that?
Anna what?
Anna being queen. How did we feel about that?
Oh, well, yeah.
I feel like it was kind of whatever to me.
Elsa never really wanted to be queen, so I thought it was a perfect fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fine. The way that the movie ends, Elsa comes in and Anna comes in, saves the city by destroying the city.
Yeah. And this is where it's hard for me, is that we hear the Show Yourself song, and then we have to hear Anna's song after. Like, that's a Debbie Downer. So I think at that point in the movie, I was like, and we didn't get another song after to bring it up, which was weird. Like, why did they decide to end on that one?
Well, I mean,
Go ahead.
they didn't end on it, you know. So just to catch us up to the
but there
plot.
wasn't like another.
Right, just to catch us up to the plot, Elsa gets frozen in her Atahalan Fortress of Solitude, and then Olaf dies. Right, he gets Thanos snapped, and then Anna has her sad song that is not very enjoyable, and then she goes off to destroy the dam to get the city to flood and get the magic to reflow or whatever it is she has to do.
Then Anna wakes up.
Then Elsa wakes up. And comes in, saves Arendelle from being destroyed.
Which when she's horsing over the waves, I was like, oh my god, this girl. Crazy.
Go ahead.
Major issue here.
Oh, okay.
And I've watched it like 3 times now, and I had the problem the first time, and then the second time I thought maybe I need to pay attention more. And it becomes more and more overt every time. So, think about the map. She's in Atahalan, north.
Mm-hmm.
Then there, a little south of that is the Enchanted Forest.
Mm-hmm.
South of that on the fjord is
Arendelle.
And somehow she's in Atahalan, waking up from ice sleep, and Anna breaks the dam, and the water is surging down a fjord to Arendelle, and somehow Elsa's riding the wave down when she's up here.
Yeah, I had to let that go in my mind.
It's a fast horse, okay?
Yeah, hey, it's fast.
This horse has like 200 horsepower.
I don't disagree with you at all.
We don't contradict that.
And I think that's why they shouldn't have shown that map, because as soon as I did see that map, I was like, wow, they're going far. And this is kind of what bugs me more than that, is when she finally does get on the horse after doing the whole ice in the Black Sea to go to Atahalan, it's right there. It's not far where I'm like, well, then why did her parents die on the ship? Like, that's a little dramatic. It wasn't that far.
That's what I'm saying. Is that they shouldn't have shown me the map.
Yeah, I agree.
My map, that's just how my brain is hardwired, is like, if I see a map, I'm going to explain it that way. Like, every time we watch The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, I'm literally thinking of the map in my head, and I'm like, okay, this is where Rivendell is, this is where, the Lonely Mountain is, or whatever, and that's how I understand where they're going. So for this, I'm like, how did she literally get on the wave that broke the dam when she was still frozen when the dam was broken?
The horse is the Flash.
She's so powerful. She's she can't be contained. She can get to places 50 miles away in a flash.
Yeah. I had to
I
let
like
that
that.
go too, so I agree with you.
I
had
don't
to
like
let-
it. It's very
Right.
bothersome.
So she does her flash act, gets to Arendelle, saves the kingdom from a tidal wave, and then resurrects Olaf, and everything is basically hunky dory. She decides,
And Anna gets engaged.
right, and Kristoff
Literally
finally
like that.
proposes.
Great.
Yes, it's boom.
Olaf loves the happy ending.
It's boom, click, done.
Did
So
you say
then,
everything's coming up roses?
did I say that?
No,
Oh.
he didn't.
I heard that in my ears. I was like, very nice Broadway reference. And
Oh,
then you
yeah. no.
Everything's coming roses. Na, 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 na.
Anyway.
Speaking of, I'll talk with you guys about it later.
Oh,
Continue.
okay. Different topic. Yeah. So then,
Hi, Ollie
at the very very end, Elsa's like, "Hey, what do you think about you being the queen?" And Anna's like, "I don't know. I guess that's all I've ever wanted to do." And then she comes out. She's the queen, and she's like a great queen immediately. She's married to tousled hair Kristoff.
She likes Kristoff better in leather.
Better in leather, which is gross. And then
And Olaf's wearing pants. That was
Olaf looked absolutely
with
terrifying
his
in
comb
that.
over.
Andre, when they came on the screen, we were like, "Ugh."
Yuck.
Gross.
And then Elsa goes off to become like the queen of Northuldra. Is that what's implied?
No, she's the fifth spirit. She's just being the bridge. She's basically looking over everything. She's like the Pocahontas tree. She's just like, oh no.
Hey, Michelle, I really appreciate that you're doing this with your body, but I don't understand what this means.
I think I was being the things from Avatar when they're like, you know what I'm talking about? On Avatar, we watched that the other day.
Oh,
When they're around the trees. they're just
Avatar,
like,
the blue aliens, not Avatar the Last
Oh.
Airbender, which we were talking about before.
Yeah, Emily doesn't like that one.
Two different avatars. Yeah, so I was a little bit confused by Elsa's new role in the world,
Yeah,
where she just rides her water horse.
I'm assuming she
I
lives.
think she's chilling.
Yeah.
She lives in Alta Holland.
She's retired.
She kind of just looks over everything and does whatever she wants, which in the grand scheme of things is kind of what she wanted to do in the first movie anyways, right? She was like, leave me alone
Right.
in my ice castle, leave me alone in Alta Holland, I'm going to roam, do what I want, make sure everything's okay, everybody's safe, and that's it, and she don't need no man.
Must be nice. I think I want to be Elsa.
She's been social distancing for a long time.
Right. Yeah. She's out there in a kingdom of isolation.
Kingdom of Isolation, Alta Holland.
Okay. I mean that makes sense. I don't know if they're planning on doing a third movie or not.
I hope not.
Yeah, we I mean, it doesn't have to go down that road, but presuming that, I mean, this movie made more money than the first movie, and the first movie made a whole buttload of money. So, I mean,
You
they
know
probably-
Disney's gonna come out with 2 more, man.
they probably will do more.
I hope not.
So knowing that at the end of this movie, I was like, okay, well, what's she gonna do next? But it wasn't like a ooh, they intrigue me. I wonder what she's gonna do next. It's like, okay, well, where is it gonna go from here, basically? So I mean, I guess in that sense, it is a good ending for this film. But in terms of setting up another one, which I'm like 95% sure they're planning to do, it didn't.
Really?
I mean,
I'm not sure they're planning to do it. I don't think they're going to.
Well, I wouldn't have said that after the first one.
Because what are they going to do? Is Anna and Kristoff going to be king and queen? What adventure are they going to go on? Like, what? They even kind of said at
it's
the
funny
end.
that you asked that question because that was the same exact question I asked after the first one, and here we are with a completely different story that I feel like completed the first story. And that's
Right.
exactly
Yeah.
how I felt about Toy Story 4.
I was just
Right.
going to say that.
It, and it ended up being pretty good, you know? So, I mean, if they do it, I think they'll do it well,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's not necessary.
It's not necessary, and we don't necessarily need it anytime soon. Like, maybe it can wait another 5 years if they decide to do it. You know, like...
But I think that the reason that it took so long for this was because they were not expecting the love for
Yeah.
Frozen that it got. But
Right.
because they do know that Frozen is just this blockbuster extraordinaire, I don't think they would wait that long.
Yeah, I think
They went
if
to
we
go make a third one.
I think if we look
Yeah.
back at Disney's like recent animated movie history, they hit like Princess and the Frog and then switched over to the new animation with Tangled and then did Frozen, right? And then they threw out like a Big Hero 6 and a Wreck-It Ralph. And then they realized how much money they had made with those past couple of movies. They're like, okay, let's do another Wreck-It Ralph. Okay, let's do another Frozen. So I think they're in sequel mode now. You know, I think that's what the plan is. So the fact that they started this.
Why can't we get a freaking Princess and the Frog 2? Why can't we get a Rapunzel 2 for trying to do all these sequels? Let's get some good movies up in here for the
A
sequels.
good question.
I'm down for a Moana too, because I like
Right.
Moana.
Right.
Wait, you gotta go back before you can go forward.
Whatever. But yeah.
But because of that, I think that going into Frozen 2, they were like, okay, well, we're doing sequels now. We might as well, you know, plan on making this one as good as possible, but also maybe laying some groundwork for another one, you know.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
what happened in here is definitely gonna progress into something different. If that's just another Olaf's Frozen Adventure or a Frozen 3, that remains to be seen.
This is what Frozen 3 is, okay? So this magic is in this enchanted forest and on this fjord, but the fjord next door, they got their own magic, and that's the evil magic, and they're gonna fight that fjord, right? That's what's gonna happen.
I mean, yeah. It could be a straight up
What do we say?
Lord of the Rings fjord fight.
A fjord feud. It's a fjord feud. Anyway. Oh, I finally got her. Is Luis laughing
I don't
at
know.
me?
I can't hear what Luis is saying.
Is he laughing at me?
You never can hear what he's saying. What's the difference?
Is he laughing at fjord feud? Fjord feud.
I feel.
He appreciates that you said the fjord next door. He's laughing.
The fjord next door.
Yeah, the fjord next door. Did you
The
know?
fjord next door.
Don't you know? Okay,
Don't
so
you know?
I'm gonna go out on a stretch here. I'm
Oh,
gonna go on a stretch.
time for a stretch.
If Ariel did not exist, like if Ariel was not a thing, my favorite Disney, not a princess though, she's a queen, would be Elsa.
Okay.
If Ariel did not exist.
Wait, she has to not exist
Oh
entirely.
yeah, because Ariel's the bees and knees. But if Ariel did not
He doesn't
exist,
even have knees.
she does in the Little Mermaid 2 Return to the Sea. But the point is that my second favorite princess, not a princess though, so it doesn't count. But my second favorite Disney female is Elsa. Oh baby, hey look, it's Dougie. Say hi.
It's Dougie, sis.
Dougie, you are in the way.
Dougie, what
I
in the world?
Could not see
He
you guys.
literally sat on the computer, guys.
There
You're
you go.
saying you like Elsa more than Moana?
Yes, I think Moana's third for me.
You like Elsa more than... I don't know. I like a lot of people more than Elsa, so I
I like
guess...
Megara too. That's a good one. If
It's very interesting. Like I wonder what the breakdown is of people who consider Anna to be either just as good or better than Elsa.
a
You know?
lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people like Anna. I'm just not a fan.
Well, okay, so from and I'm trying to jump into little boy brain with this. As much
Oh, they like Elsa.
as much as I enjoy this movie, little boy brain, I'm only watching it for Elsa. She's got the powers. She's the cool one. She's the queen.
And she's just like
the main
brighter.
character.
She, you know.
You know, she shines so much more. I forget that Anna is a princess or a queen all the time. I forget. They go, oh, Anna and Elsa, they're on the list of the princesses. I'm like, oh yeah, Anna, she's up there too.
Yeah.
I feel like because she doesn't have abilities, she gets the short shrift within this franchise. And
But it's funny because I think little girls do not think that.
okay, that's interesting.
I honestly don't think so because I've seen so many people, and again, this might just be my friend group or whatever, but I've seen so many people who have two kids or even just one kid and they're dressed up as Anna. It's not like Anna and Elsa. It's like Anna everything all the time.
Right.
And I wonder if it's because the two of them are so different. One is like overt, the other one's inverted. One is blonde, one is brunette, whatever she is.
Right.
But like one, they're just complete opposite. So I think that is a good precursor between like sisters. You know, if there's two kids in a family, one definitely is going to identify with one.
Right. That makes sense. And in that first Frozen movie, Anna is more front facing and Elsa's like more mysterious and stuff like that too. So they can identify with Anna more. And I think I identify with Anna more. She's very funny and she's very witty and smart and gung ho and driven and all that stuff.
But you do forget that she's a princess or a queen.
But I forget all the time, constantly.
Do you want to know one of my favorite parts of this movie?
Yes, please.
Was that everyone was getting annoyed with Olaf. I found it absolutely completely hilarious that he was giving all of his factoids on the trip to the Enchanted Forest, and everyone was like, you need to zip it. Like, did you know that? What did they say?
You know.
Did you know you can like lose your mind from over talking, or I don't know what they said. But
oh yeah, and
on
they're like,
multiple occasions they're like, you can zip it. Maybe only
it was something like that.
Maybe only Elsa should make the noise. And then Olaf's like, yeah, you know, I should be the only one because she's a little pitchy.
yeah.
You don't say that to Adina.
That was very funny. But I mean, like, even in the beginning when they're like playing charades, I was like, I don't think this dude should be allowed to be here.
Yeah. I think what was bugging me though is like, do you think they named the mom of them Aduna because it's like Adina, but it's Aduna?
I didn't.
Did they say her name?
You didn't
in the
put that
movie?
together? Her name is Aduna. Elsa's mom. Anna and Elsa's mom.
Well, I think it's unrelated.
I think it's because it's very Nordic.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just
Nordic thing.
name.
Well,
I don't think it's because of Idina, no.
Okay, the only last thing I want to talk about is I don't know if maybe they were planning on going here, but I kept thinking that I know Honey Marin was the girl and then the soldier that they met, but do we remember the guy's name?
Ryder.
Ryder. I thought when I first watched this in the theater that he was going to be Kristoff's like little brother or something, because they were both obsessed with reindeer and they kept talking to each other and all this, and I thought they were going to go somewhere with that, especially when he was helping him plan the whole proposal, but then they just kind of fell off and they didn't ever really come back into it.
It's funny
but when I first watched it when we were in the theater, I was like, babe, I think that's Kristoff's brother. And then it just went nowhere. And at the end of the movie, when we left the theater, I was like, why did they introduce them?
Ryder did not survive the first viewing in my mind, but go ahead.
It's very funny that you bring that up because I, which I've talked about multiple times, I play the Disney Magic Kingdoms game on my phone. And
oh, yeah.
That game, every time a new movie comes out, they have an opportunity, like they'll have an event where you can get like the new characters and you can get like a couple different attractions or whatever to put in your park, right? And it's funny because they had the huge like Frozen one like late last year when the movie came out. And my mom and I were like, you know, my mom plays and she's like a serious player, right? And she's like,
oh my gosh.
She's like, Emily, did you get Honey Marin? Emily, did you get Ryder? And she's like, I don't know who these people are, but like they're really cool looking. And Emily,
they're
did you
on
get
that
the
game?
fire lizard? Literally, that didn't have a name, right? The
Bruni.
I didn't end up getting him. But so I've been playing with these characters for like 6-7 months, and I'm thinking like they have to be really important or they wouldn't have put them in the game, right?
Right.
And then we watch this movie, and I'm like, it's Honey Marin, it's Ryder, because I remember these people, and
literally not in it.
Why did Honey Marin even have a name?
Why did Ryder have a name? And that's why I'm saying I think maybe there must have been stuff cut out, and I mean, I didn't buy the digital download or...
Oh, you didn't buy the digital download? You didn't buy the movie 2 days before they announced that it was going to be put on Disney Plus?
Was there any deleted scenes with that?
Oh, you didn't do that? Because
Is she bitter? She
Yeah. So for those of you in the future listening to this, because of the quarantine crisis, they released Frozen 2 out on digital probably like 2 weeks ago, and then probably like 5 or 6 days later released it on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Woo.
Well, did you go see Onward in the theater and then it came out on Disney Plus 2 weeks later?
Hey, you didn't buy it.
We did buy tickets.
I mean, we bought tickets, but I'm excited to watch that again,
But
regardless.
I will say, though, I will go back and I will watch in the next couple of days so that when we put out our stuff for our patrons, we can at least see if there was more scenes with Honey, Marion, and Ryder.
Yes, okay, and
It seems like they should have a lot more content, and they literally are like set up in a very beautiful way. I want to know more about the North Ultra. I don't want to just know that her mom was North Ultra. I want to know about them, and they
Yeah.
just gave us not
Nothing.
enough.
I did like that they made the chant though, like from the intro song from the first.
Do you remember
That was
when
so
we did
good.
our Frozen episode and I said that song did not make any sense?
Right, didn't fit
That
in.
was
Well, now
my
it does.
first comment. Was like, this song does not play well into this whole like universe, and now
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
And now it does. That's
Yeah.
It's interesting that they went back and did that. And I wonder if this Honey, Marion, and Ryden
Ryder is Kristoff's little brother, I'm telling you.
controversy will continue on. Like, this might be that base work that they're laying for another movie or something like that. Hey, we got these
They both-
different characters.
They both talk to reindeer and are obsessed with
Did you
reindeer.
notice
Rose
though
of
that
Rain-
there was really only one reindeer in like Arendelle area? I mean, were there more?
Yes,
You never really saw them.
Right.
I think
And
he
all
got
the other
stuck.
ones were stuck.
Yeah,
Interesting.
sad day.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he was an
I don't know what
orphan,
that means. I just thought it
right?
would make that face.
Kristoff was an orphan with his reindeer, and that's why I was saying he's probably from Notholdra tribe, and that would be like his little brother or just a relative or something, you know. But apparently
And the-
not.
Dad.
The two of them are reindeer whisperers, and that's their power.
No, what if Honey, Marion, and Ryder are his parents?
They were born there, homie.
Oh, they were
Oh,
born
yeah.
there.
They
They're
said they
too
were born
young,
there.
I think.
Yeah, they're like all the same age.
I
They're
forget
basically
that- I keep thinking that they were like trapped in time. They weren't
Right.
trapped in time. They grew up. Okay.
poor General Matthias. He's like 34 years.
Yeah.
That's so
He is
long.
so cute.
They got the short end of the stick.
I love when he
I would
asked,
date
like,
him.
is what's her face still over at the, I don't know, some place? And she was like, really? Is she married? Nope.
Okay,
and he's
cool.
getting it at the end, like, look at my girl.
Right.
Yeah,
My girl.
Marveling at a photograph
Yeah.
and whatnot.
it's a good movie. How much money did this make? You said it made more than the first one.
This movie did make more than the first one. The first one, I believe, when I looked it up, had
To be
made
expected.
a worldwide gross of $1.2 billion. This movie, the second one, had a $150 million budget and ended up with a worldwide gross of $1.4 billion.
Okay, so not that much more.
It made $200 million more. Do you got $200 million extra dollars?
0.2, 0.4.
$0.4 billion.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of money. And especially for
Cool.
a sequel. For a number two movie.
And I think I wasn't excited to see this movie until they let the trailer out with Elsa like fighting in the water and stuff like that, and I was like, that's dope.
Great trailer.
But
That
we
was a
still didn't.
fantastic trailer.
Andre and
I
I
waited
have been,
the entire movie for that scene.
yeah.
And it doesn't come until like at least halfway.
and it honestly doesn't even ruin that part of the movie because there's more of that scene.
It's
you know
still
what I
cool.
mean? And so Andre and I, we've probably been doing this, I would say, the past year. We're like, the first trailer comes out and we're like, cool. And then we don't watch any more trailers until we see the movie. And that's been panning out very well for us. But I'm just comparing it to like how I saw the first Toy Story 4 trailer and I was like, absolutely not. But this little snippet scene when we saw it, I was like, oh my God.
Right.
Like we need
You know,
to see
it's so funny too because I never realized how. I don't know. I guess like in my consumer brain that I would assume that when a movie studio puts out a trailer, it's because they're done with the movie and this is what they want to present to you.
Absolutely
never-
not.
But I never understood that they would like just put out what they had or put out what they thought they were going with, and then they could go in a completely other direction with their
Yeah, absolutely. I've only learned that really through being with you more than I've learned about movies like that.
That happens a lot because you'll be midway through the movie and you or even that you finished principal production and you've shot every scene, all the actors are done, they've gone home, and you're going through your editing and you're like, okay, let's put this in the trailer, this is all good. And then a couple of weeks later, you realize you have to do reshoots and stuff like that. And you go back, you're rewriting pages, you're rewriting scripts, you're rewriting scenes. The actors have to come back in to do different stuff, and then you end up putting a different movie out than necessarily what you put out.
They'll cut scenes like a week before this thing comes out. Like, people will go to the movie and they're like, I'm cut. Like
that can happen nowadays, but back in older movies, that didn't happen as often because production took a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And you couldn't edit that quickly.
We did watch this, like the original, they were practicing the song Some Things Never Change, like the 4 of them, and it was like a video on YouTube, and they were doing like, they were singing it, like practicing it, and the lyrics were like 25% different, and it was throwing me off, like majorly.
Yeah.
Where I was like, what is this? And Andre was like, oh yeah, they change that kind of stuff pretty frequently, like on the fly, on the day, all the time, and it just like weirds me out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yes.
Some things just need to be different.
So a hot 200 mil more. What's it?
Some things never change, y'all.
Some things never change. Okay, on Rotten Tomatoes, this movie actually has a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, Frozen 2.
But
it has an audience score of 92%. And if we compare that to the first movie had a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 85% audience score.
So basically similar.
It's similar, but that tomato meter, the reviews were definitely
but
not
like
as good.
What were people saying? Like, what didn't they like about it? Was it too dark?
Let's see.
Which is stuff I like.
Let's go through a couple of rotten reviews. Not much gain against a good deal of loss. All right, that was a bad one to read. A distressingly unnecessary and fairly tedious sequel. And these are from critics.
I disagree.
It makes the world of Frozen feel infinite, even if the characters and the story make it feel like it's a small world after all. Perhaps I should just let it go. All right, pun master. And then let me read one more.
You know that person watched this movie at least 4 times. Like, shut up.
I literally watched it 3 times this week. This person needs to calm down.
This person said, with no surprises, without looking for its female character standout, Frozen 2 disappoints and misrepresents the magical sense that the first installment had. So it's just a lot of it wasn't as good as the first one, and that kind of brings the score down, I think.
Okay. Because of the discrepancies like you were talking about, Emily.
Yeah.
You know? All right, well, is Louise there?
You can't tailor to everybody, so I get where Disney has to, like, choose who their audience is, and it's not even who their audience is. It's what audience they want to target. And They target that audience, and they do the best they can, and I'm cool with that. But it's interesting what they choose to do when they target, because they're very obviously going to leave out certain people, because some people want happy-go-lucky all the time. Some people want not complex 115 minutes worth of happy or just moving the story along. And this one is not like that. So it's just very different. And
it's a different vibe. And I mean, there's certain Disney movies that all turn on where I'm just like, wow, I need something happy to play in the background or whatever. This is not one of those movies. This is a movie when I'm like in an emotional mood and I want to eat some snacky snacks and drink some wine, then I'm going to watch this movie. You know what I mean? Much like how if I'm picking a musical.
When you want to drink wine, you put on Disney movies?
Sometimes. You know what? This is equivalent to me in like earlier years being like, I'm putting on Les Mis. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to put on...
The rough days.
Yeah, but it's so good. You know what I mean? Where it's like sometimes you just have to. But I don't think kids are going to just be putting this one on. They're still going to put on the first one. You know?
Oh, you're right. They'll put on Les Mis.
They gotta put on Les Mis. Okay, I'll make my comment that I was going to talk about later before we get into this. Because this movie put me in a Broadway mood because of the music, the new live-action Cats came out, and Andre and I were like, yeah, we're going to watch it, right? We poured our wine, we got our snacky snacks, and we made it 5 minutes, and we turned it off.
I was willing to go further, but at the same time, I knew that sleep would take me over in probably like 25 minutes from then. So I think I would need to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
I will watch Frozen 2 any day over Cats.
To get through Cats.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I told you I was not watching it.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
It's
Okay,
the hotness
is Luis
of the
there? Does he want to give his
movie.
rating first? Or is he putting the
He
video to
is
sleep?
feeding our beautiful baby in the other room, and who knows when he'll be back.
He's the feeding
Who
the
knows?
baby. All I
He
got
said he liked
summed
it,
up
though.
from Luis.
You have a
last
number to throw at me, Luis? Siete.
Siete,
Siete.
7. I mean, I think he gave the first one like a 3, probably. So
I think he gave it higher than 3, but yeah, 7
So
is
he's giving this movie a 7, and that's pretty good for having a character that he absolutely despises in it.
right.
because that's what Luis usually fixates on, the Olaf.
The Olaf. Yeah.
The Olaf.
Andre,
Okay,
what
Emily,
do
you
think
go.
of this movie? Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
8.
It's a good movie, but I'm not giving it an 8 because I'm gonna go back and watch it a million times. I'm giving it an 8 because it's solid on its own. Solid movie. Good music. I like it. I laughed. It was good. But like you said, Michelle, it's not something that I'm just gonna like throw on in the background because
Yes.
it's not as cheery as some of our other Disney options. Like,
Definitely.
I know we talk about it, but like Princess and the Frog is on in this house so often because it's so fun. And I mean, there's some like scary stuff in it, but it's
Right.
just moving.
Yeah.
This movie, it requires a lot more thought, a lot more like self-reflection. It just requires more for you to enjoy it.
You have to be in the mood to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
But it is a good movie. I think.
Yeah. An 8 is solid. I mean, that's a good score. I agree with that. I'm going to give this movie an 8.5. I'm pretty sure I gave Frozen like a 9.5.
Right.
So I'm going to knock this one a point down, mainly for the fact that I didn't need Anna's song at all. It didn't have as much humor, but did I like the other music and stuff better? Yes, but my thing is whenever I watch a new movie, that's my obsession too. Like that's how I was with Moana, that's how I was with just anything that happens like that, then it's like this movie is the end all be all. So yes, I'm like obsessed with it right now. But if I'm comparing it to the first one for like humor wise and certain songs where I'm like absolutely not, like Anna really bugged me in this movie. So I'm like knocking it down for that, where in the first one I enjoyed her a lot more just as a character, you know? So I'm going to give it an 8.5. I really kind of want to give it a 9 because at least they gave Kristoff more, which made me so happy.
Mhm.
You say that, but like for me, I think he was unnecessary. Like I
Oh,
feel like
no, I loved it.
I feel like he could have stayed back with the rest of
Arendelle.
Arendelle
Yeah.
because all he was
No.
doing was pining.
I
Over
liked
here,
it.
Over there. I thought it was cute, but
Yeah.
he could have pined from Arendelle. He didn't have to be with them.
Right.
Yeah. I don't care. I love Kristoff. So it's just like that fine life. I'm like in between an 8.5 and a 9. But am I probably still going to watch it again in a couple weeks? Yeah, until Onward's on TV, and then I'm gonna start watching that one too. So we'll see. It's really good. Show yourself 10 out of 10, 12 out of 10, 100 out of 10. I literally can listen to that song all day, but that's exactly how I was with Let It Go when it came out too. So Disney,
That's
I mean,
how Andre was when Let It Go came out. I
Yeah.
already told you the story about Andre and Mary Angela in my car, like, you need to hear the song, Emily. It's
I don't think I heard this. I don't think I heard this.
No, yeah, that's.
I need video evidence.
That's very true.
Go back and listen to the other episode. I told the story in the
Love it.
original version.
That's true. I think I remember that. But it's just, and there's something about Disney with their magical musical songs. But I'm gonna make this comment, and I think this is why I'm giving it an 8.5. I've been in our world today is kind of bleh. We know this, and when everything gets in a bleh mood for me, I Spotify Disney music on shuffle play on the way to work and on my way home from work, because otherwise I ain't getting to work if I'm not listening to Disney music. It's just not happening, right? And that's how I know. That's how I know I've hit a low, when the Disney music comes out in the real life. You know what I mean? Not just driving to Disneyland. Oh no, the Disney music's out now. I'm skipping songs like this because they're too emotional, and going to like Aladdin, like Prince Ali, or just like other 90s like happy songs where they're feel good, or like Mulan songs, Pocahontas, things like that. But if like these ones comes on, I'm like, skip, because I'm gonna get too emotional. And I think the Disney songs are gearing more towards that, like See the Light, and like even stuff from Moana, like How Far I'll Go. They're getting more of these like powerful ballads. Like, yes, they did have those before, but it was just a much different musical style and vibe to like the current Disney movies. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, I need like, can I say shuffle play like 90s Disney music? Like, because that's what I need, type of thing. Versus like
you want a ballad. You don't want like your powerhouse showstopper.
Exactly. But it's interesting that that's where the style of Disney music has definitely gone. Like indefinitely, if you think about it, in the more recent movies. And I mean, it's just me, I'll be like skip. Oh, look, it's Can You Feel the Love Tonight? You know what I mean?
But
like,
I don't mean to be rude, but I think that a lot of the times it depends on who the singers are, because they're getting stronger singers to play these parts, and when you have strong singers, you don't squander the talent.
Yeah.
And so they're going to write songs that have these insane moments of clarity, or just a very strong pinnacle in the scene or whatever, because the actress can handle it. Like, I'm not saying Jodie Benson like couldn't handle something in like The Little Mermaid, but there's not these moments where it's like character is fighting themselves and they're going to punch through your screen because it's so musically important at this moment.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree. So that's why I'm just like, okay, 8.5. That's my final. 8.5. 8.5. Andre.
I'm going to give this movie an 8. Yes, I think I agree that the first one I think I gave a 9 or a 9.5 as well, and
I'm sure I gave it. I think we both gave it a 9.5.
Yes. I just looked this up, but our Frozen 1 episode was episode 59. Go back and check our scores for us.
Yeah, go listen to this one before you listen to this. But I'm telling you that you've already listened to this episode.
But at the very end of this one. But yeah, I think this movie was quite good. But that because it builds on what came before it, and not necessarily because it stands alone as a good movie. I love this movie because it has the great characters that I love, minus Olaf, who is definitely diminished from what he was in the first one. And then it has several very good songs and very good song sequences, and then it has a bunch of really cool action in it. Like watching Elsa throw her magic around like a goddess is so cool to watch, and that's like 90% of the reason why I would watch this again is just because she looks so cool.
Especially in the water scene where she's fighting the horse, reminds me of how I felt when Wonder Woman, which I'm not a huge DC fan, but when Wonder Woman from the new, well, it's not new anymore, but the Wonder Woman sequences where she was fighting.
Yeah, crossing the trenches with her shield, and she's beating up soldiers.
The absolutely coolest, like, woman empowerment. Yes, you can do it. All of that.
Elsa's insane.
It's animated, and it's like very fake if you think about it, like a water horse and this and that. But like,
Elsa is insane.
Very cool.
And she did all that barefoot, BT dubs. Like, aren't her feet cold? She's running through Altahalla, and I'm like, girl.
I mean, she don't get cold. She's frozen.
Crazy.
Bothered her anyway.
She's cold as ice.
Of course, Altahalla is frozen.
Yeah, but
sacrifice her love.
Well, once again, the songs aren't quite as good. The humor is not quite there, and the plot, like we've said over and over again, is really complex. Like there's layers upon layers upon layers going on in this movie, And I think we had talked about it before, but like, yeah, they were really targeting a very specific kind of audience in this. They were like, okay, well, we had 12-year-old girls love this movie, and now 6 years later, those 12-year-old girls are 18 now. So we got to make a movie for the 18-year-old girls who want a deeper, darker plot. I'm assuming
it might
that
have
that's
been a good strategy. I mean,
and
it made a lot of money.
It obviously was. It made them $1.4 billion. But it's not my favorite Frozen movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not that they're
You know
catered.
what, Andre? You have $1.4 billion.
No.
No. I'll ask Alexa, what's Andre's net worth?
No.
We were playing this game last night where we were trying to think in our head, like, what's Johnny Depp's net worth? And then we would ask Alexa, like, what's Johnny Depp's net
a
worth?
fun game.
And see, like, who was closest. And I'm pretty sure we did that for 20 minutes and went through so many people. It is absolutely insane. So if you're looking for a fun thing to do while you're in quarantine, people just...
Yeah, you can ask...
Yeah,
you can
play
ask
the net
Echo.
worth game. And then it makes you feel real bad about yourself.
Yeah, you can ask Echo about box offices, too, and just see how much...
box offices. There you go.
Just see
Disney
how
box offices.
how many other people have money that you don't. It's a super fun game.
Hey, you're about to get that stimulus package. Work it.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna get a 70-inch TV so we can watch our Disney movies in 4K.
Yes. Speaking of which, moving on, we are next week going to be bringing you another brand new Disney movie.
Yeah, we're moving forward.
We're moving
with
forward.
this podcast.
We-
We're moving
And onward.
Onward
that.
and upward. We are going to watch the 2020 film.
Keep moving onward.
2020 Pixar film, Onward.
This is our newest movie.
This
that
is
we've
our
ever done.
newest movie that we've ever done.
We've never done a movie this fresh
Yeah.
off the theater. It should still be in theater,
It
so
should.
we've definitely never done a movie this fresh.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
the freshest movie we could possibly be doing.
It's fresh.
Yes. So join us next week for that. We'll be talking about Onward. Hit us up on.
And a different kind of magic, right? We're gonna move. We're
Yes.
gonna transition to a different kind of magical realm.
We're moving magics and then different trolls, right? Are there trolls
Yeah.
in Onward? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Different
There's
pointy
elves.
ears. It's coming our way. So join us for that next week. In the meantime, keep up with us on the internet. Why we know you're on it. You don't have anything else to do. Go to social media. Go to @TheWaltVaultPod. Look us up. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about Frozen 2. Did you like Frozen 1 better than Frozen 2 or vice
Emily,
versa?
you should do one of those polls. Frozen 1 or Frozen 2.
Yeah,
I
poll
need
it up.
to know.
Go there. Send us an email. Oh, actually, you know what? I have an email for us to read.
Ooh, an email.
Let me just bring it up real
We
quick.
like the emails.
We received
We like the email.
we received
yeah.
an email earlier today, in fact, from a Carrick. Carrick says, "Hey guys, I'm definitely a late bloomer to the show. Started about 1.5 weeks ago, and I'm only on episode 25.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. But I just wanted to say you're the highlight of my day. I listen to you all day at work, and my coworkers are always wondering why I'm crying laughing. Thank you for being awesome." So
Oh, that's so sweet.
thank
Thanks,
you, Carrick. We really appreciate the love. If you want to leave us some love, you can send an email to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com. We'll read your message on the show and react to it. Or you could send a review to iTunes or to YouTube or to Spotify, wherever you review and get your podcast. Throw a review up there. That helps us out. And give us a rating as well.
I have a question. Could you hear the baby crying?
Just a little
A little bit.
It was Luis.
Oh, what?
Just kidding. It was
Oh. I was like,
Taking a
man.
picture of Dougie. He's sleeping on Andre's podcast equipment. It's really cute.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you.
Well, that was Luis crying, which is also very cute.
Wait, why was he
Wow.
crying?
He wasn't really crying. It was the baby.
Baby. Okay.
That's what happens when you're
I like to
drinking
think
wine.
of
Thank you, Louise.
Louise crying like that a lot, though.
Old man negative. Now he's old man baby.
Old man baby. Yeah, so go to all those places, help us out, support us here at the Walt Vault in these dark times, as we bring you more and more content. Also go over to patreon.com/the Walt Vault. You can help support us there. It's very cheap. We'll give you a little extra content that you can that we can throw your way.
Which I have something to talk about
Oh yes.
Ooh.
today. On the
Ooh.
So
we got some tea.
A crack will be
Come
happening
listen to the tea.
on patreon.com/the Walt Vault. So
crack it open.
go there, sign up, and you'll get a whole
I was
extra
cracking
podcast out of us. to listen to while you're sitting at home or watching people walk by outside. All right, that's it for this week, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for coming by to the Walt Vault here. We will see you next week for some onward goodness. The vault is now closed.
Bye.